Hi guys, and a very warm welcome to Friday, the 31st of May. And sadly, today is our last session for May Wine Month 2024. We end the month on a high with probably one of my most favorite regions in France, which is the Northern Rhône, with a beautiful session with Guigal coming up. So it brings us to the end of the Rhône Valley and the south of France week, and hopefully many of you can enjoy a glass of wine to celebrate the end of May Wine Month 2024. I'll hand over to Jackie, who will take us through today's session. As always, any questions, either pop them on the chat or we will cover them at the end of the session.
I start with the screen to share.
When you're ready, yep, feel free.
Is it good? I have to change it. Sorry, like that. Better.
Perfect. Good to go. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your invitation. We are very happy to show the wines of Guigal, and I try to explain you who we are today. So first of all, we are here in the northern part of the Rhône Valley. I know you had a different tasting in the southern part of the Rhône. We are at the northern limit. You can really see on the right the top of the northern part, close to the city of Vienne. Côte-Rôtie is one of the small appellations where we are, and of course the cellars and the vines are here. So I try to give more information first about the appellation, then about the family, because Guigal is a family who is in charge of the winemaking all these wines, and after give you more information about technical things. First of all, about Côte-Rôtie, we can see on the right a large difference is in the size of the appellation, because today we have only 333 hectares of vineyards on 3 different villages. That's a very small area, not more than 10 kilometers, by opposition to the total of the Rhône Valley, which is nearly 70,000 hectares. So that's very long, a lot of grape growers, a lot of productions. That's a large appellation, and Côte-Rôtie is really a small part. We have to remind that it's one of the oldest appellations. That's why we can go back to the past. The Rhône Valley and, of course, Côte-Rôtie started 2,000 years ago with the Roman people who settled in the Rhône Valley, and, of course, planted vineyards in the southern part around Orange, Avignon, but also in the northern part close to Vienne, where Pliny the Elder called it vin de Vienne. And this term still exists, and we also developed other appellations. But Côte-Rôtie, the name of Côte-Rôtie only appeared in the 6th century, at the beginning of the Middle Age. We have some different images coming from the 19th century, where we already have this name of Côte Blonde or Côte Brune. Côte-Rôtie is shared in 2 parts, with a small river between called Le Renard. We can say in the southern part, Côte Blonde is made with sandy soils coming from gneiss, which are white and very sensitive to erosion. That's the reason why we have to build a lot of terraces. And it was the same thing during the Roman time. We can find some witness of this past history because we found drains in the terraces. On the northern part, Côte Brune, we have different soils made from schist, and schist are very dark soils, making deeper wines thanks to the clay we have inside. To reach the Guigal history, everything started in 1924 when Etienne Guigal arrived in Ampuy. Etienne first worked for the biggest winery at the moment, called Vidal Fleury. And we can see on this picture, Etienne working in the cellar and serving the wine to Mr. Joseph Vidal Fleury. It was in the cellars of Vidal Fleury. But he decided to establish by his own, and he created his own winery and opened it in 1946. Sorry. Etienne is here in front of the cellar, and he presents his first vintage, which was 1946, when he opened the winery. Three generations continue to work about the winemaking for Côte-Rôtie. Of course, on the left, you have Etienne, but Etienne made 67 vintages regarding the beginning with Vidal Fleury, and after his hard work for creating Guigal. We have to remind that when Etienne started, he was only negociant, purchasing grapes to create his company. And he purchased his first vineyard with his son Marcel only in 1966. Marcel arrived in the company in 1961 because unfortunately Etienne felt blind, and Marcel come to assist him. He was only 17 years old in 1961, and today he will have 81 in August. So it will be 2024 will be his 64th vintage. So some years again to work harder than his father. The third generation arrived with Philippe in 1993. So today, Philippe leads the company, and of course, is in charge of the winemaking and the sales, and is currently traveling to Asia because he is actually in Hong Kong for Vinexpo. That's why I am very happy to present you all those wines. I am his assistant winemaker, we can say. We work together every day with, of course, his father. And we decide what we have to do for the blending, purchasing, aging of the different wines. The family is also evolving because Marcel was married with Bernadette in 1973 and Philippe with Yves. So today the fourth generation is coming, and you can see on the right the young twin boys of Philippe and Yves, Charles and Etienne, who are actually 14 years old, and I'm sure they will come to help us in the future. So we have to remind today about Guigal that it's a 100% family owned. Only the Guigal family has shares in the company, and we are very proud of that. We produce today more than 10 million bottles. Of course, a large part of this wine are made with the generic appellation Côte du Rhône. We also produce wines in all the different appellations in the southern Rhône, such as Gigondas or Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And of course, in the northern part where we are established with Gros-Hermitage, Saint-Joseph, of course, Côte-Rôtie and Condrieu, which are at the northern limit. In terms of sales, we can say that 50% of the wines are sold in France, but we export about 50% too in 140 different countries. We have a large stock, and that's due to the way we work for the winemaking. For us, one of the main points is the aging. The aging of red wines needs at minimum 36 months. And for the best wines, the selection of Côte-Rôtie, such as Côte-Rôtie, La Mouline, La Landonne, and La Turque, the single vineyards of Côte-Rôtie, we age them for 42 months. That's really different from a lot of producers in the Rhône Valley, and of course in France too. Yes, this is what I tried to show you, the different appellations produced from our own vineyards. Today we own 75 hectares in the northern Rhône, and we also buy wines and grapes in the southern Rhône. A few words to remind this history with the birth of Marcel in 1943, the beginning of the company in 1946, and the beginning of Marcel in 1961. different wines coming. Important thing with Philippe coming in 75, and the second single vineyard called La London, which was planted for the birth of Philippe in 75, and so the first vintage was 1978. A big change happened in 1984 when the Guigal family purchased Vidal Fleury and kept for the vineyard of Guigal the single vineyard of La Turque with the first vintage 1985. More recently, the Guigal family acquired the Château d'Ampuis in 1985, which is a very important place where Philippe and his family live. And we also settled the cooperage in the Château d'Ampuis in 2003. Second very important point for the winemaking. Time is important, but oak is very important. Wines of Syrah, all the Northern Rhône is made with Syrah, and of course Côte-Rôtie. Syrah is a reductive grape and needs oxygen and needs oak to have a good balance between tannins and colors and to have a good stability during aging. That's why we believe that time, oak, is important for the style of Guigal. To come back to the family, Charles and Etienne, the birth was 2010, and we expect to produce a new single vineyard for their arrival in the future with Côte-Rôtie La Reynarde, which is the fourth of the Lalas coming in the future. In the Southern Rhône, we purchased a big vineyard called Château de Nalis in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and today we are very proud to sell all the wines of Château de Nalis through the Guigal network. The size of Château de Nalis was increased 2 times in 2018 and 19 in order to be today to 77 hectares. That's one of the largest estates, and we just started to have a big construction for the chateau with a new facility that will come for the vintage 2026. But maybe come back to the Northern Rhône. These are the labels you maybe know, and of course the label of Côte-Rôtie Brune et Blonde in the middle of the screen. That's an image of the vineyard. As you can see, very important things with the terraces. Here we have the southern part, Côte Blonde, where the Syrah is growing. This valley is really touching the Rhône River, and these slopes protects us against the wind, against the different bad disease, and it's a hard job to work, but we are very happy to do that because that's very unique, of course, in terms of situation, but also in terms of soil. That's why we continue to do that. Another image of the Côte Blonde, and you can see here a small sign in the vineyard of Guigal. This is a place called Le Clos, where we have a large property. In order to do the blend of Château d'Ampuis and a part of Côte-Rôtie Brune et Blonde, we will have now. So this wine, Côte-Rôtie Brune et Blonde, is maybe the biggest production of Côte-Rôtie as a producer, because we have nearly 280 bottles every year. The reason is because we have, of course, a large vineyard, and we also buy a lot of grapes to different producers on all the different places of Côte-Rôtie. Côte Blonde with the silica and limestones, and also Côte Brune with the schist and the iron oxides. So that's a lot of different soils, a lot of different single vineyards, which are vinified and aged separately. And after the 36 months of aging, we will finally blend them. So that's very useful to have our own cooperage, because we have a lot of barrels. In the cellars, we have nearly 5,000 barrels currently aging. Of course, not only for Côte-Rôtie, also for Hermitage, Saint-Joseph, and other appellations. But that's important to remind that for Côte-Rôtie Brune et Blonde, the oak is very important. 50% new oak, 50% old barrels. in order to have more complexity, more delicacy, more sophistication for the wine. The constitution of Côte-Rôtie Brune Blonde is mainly led by Syrah, of course, which is always the main grape in the Northern Rhône. But we also have a small part of Viognier. That's quite unique too. Viognier is a very aromatic grape. Viognier is coming from the appellation, the neighbor appellation Condrieu, which is also very small. Today, not more than 200 hectares. Again, nice slopes with terraces in order to keep the ground. So Viognier is always co-planted in the same plots. In one plot, you have, of course, a large part of Syrah, but some terraces or some vines of Viognier are in the middle of this field. That's a field blend. We have to harvest them together and do the fermentation process in the same tank. That's since the beginning, co-fermented together. That's a very good thing to improve the complexity, to improve these aromas of Viognier, complementing to the Syrah. And that's very original because it's the only appellation in the Northern Rhône to have this blend. By law, we could reach 20% of Viognier, and depending on the choice of the different winemakers, each one decide its proportion. For us, Côte-Rôtie Brune Blonde has 4% Viognier, and that's a very important thing for us. In terms of winemaking, all the fermentations are made in stainless steel tanks in order to be able to refresh the tanks if needed, or to warm the tank, because we never have to forget that we are at the northern limit of the Rhône Valley, and it could be cold. The maceration is about 3 weeks, with a lot of pumping over and pigeage in order to have a large extraction of tannins and the color, because the wine will after age for 3 years. So we need to have a big extraction. That's an image of the Château d'Ampuis. We can see on the background the vineyard of course, Côte-Rôtie. This is Côte Brune, where we have again a small sign of Guigal on the left side, which is the single vineyard of La Turque. And the other vines are not only the Guigal vineyards, but in our plots, some plots for the blend of Château d'Ampuis or the blend of Côte-Rôtie Brune Blonde. As you can see, the Château d'Ampuis is really in front of the Rhône River, and that's a very important thing. That's the beginning of the Rhône River, of the Rhône region, sorry, Rhône Valley for the wines. We have here an image of the Côte Blonde with the nice single vineyards of La Mouline, which is not really the wine we discussed today, but it's important to have a view on this one too. And as you can see, a lot of small terraces. These vineyards were planted until the Roman time, and we have some plots just over for the blend of Côte-Rôtie Brune Blonde. Another nice view on the Côte Brune, La Turque, which is just behind the sign of Guigal, and the other plots around are used for the blend of Château d'Ampuis or Côte-Rôtie Brune Blonde also. And the last one to have a view is Côte-Rôtie La Landonne, this famous vineyard planted for the birth of Philip in 1975, which is a single vineyard. And again, some plots for the Côte-Rôtie Brune Blonde touching La Landonne. Again, a nice view on the village of Ampuis, where we are. We can see the cellar, even if it's very small in the picture. And of course, the river of the Rhône, and after the small appellation of Condrieu. The different labels we can find in the special single vineyard of the estate. And I hope you had a good time for this presentation. And if you need to have more information or question, I hope I'm also in the good timing, Richard.
Yeah, perfect timing. Really, really good. Thank you. And really informative. I will open the floor in case there are any questions from anyone on the chat or anyone on the call. But one question from me, obviously, you said that the Brune Blanc production was around 280,000 bottles per annum. What does the single vineyard production of Côte-Rôtie look like in terms of volume?
Yes, they are very smaller. The single vineyards of La Mouline, La Turque, and La London are less than 5,000 bottles per year. Each of the plots are about 1 hectare. And of course, the production is very low, but we can't increase it. The only wine that can be increased in terms of production is Côte Rôtie Brunet Blonde when we plant other vineyards and when we buy more grapes to the other producers. That's, yes, different scales. That's the reason why we have a specific system with allocations for the Lalas in order to share the bottles to the different customers in France and abroad.
Perfect. Yeah. And I suppose most of the hotels would be on the 2019 vintage, I think, at the moment. Was that a particularly good year for Côte Rôtie?
Yes, it is. We can say the three vintage 18, 19, 20 are very good vintages and will look like the global warming will show the wine in the future. Very rich in color, rich in tannins, rich in alcohol too, because for us, 19 is about 14 degrees in alcohol. That's quite unusual. By the past, Côte Rôtie was more about 12 and a half or 13 maximum. 19 is really focused on serious tannins, very deep wines that will be able to age. Of course, they age for 3 years in the cellars, but they can age in your cellars for more than 10 years.
And last question from me, there might be from others, but in terms of perfect food pairing, probably a difficult, just one or two food types that you think would be a perfect food pairing for the Côte Rôtie Brunet Blanc.
Yes, we as Côte Rôtie has spice, nice, very good ripeness for the fruits. We always like to use it with meat, beef. We can use a large part of beef with not too much vegetables. Use French fries. That's always a good pairing. And when the wine is old, we can use it with meat, but with a sauce. Again, sauce with wine is very good, like a bœuf bourguignon, for example. That's a very good pairing.
Okay, perfect. All right. Are there any other questions there before we wrap up? Looks like Marcus wants to ask one.
Hi, Jacques. It's Marcus over in Bristol. I'm curious to find out what point in history was the decision made to start using the Viognier white grape with the red, and was there a particular reason for that?
That's a very good question because we don't really know. Because the two appellations are neighbors, so sometimes we can say by the past, the limit was not so clear. What is sure is that today, the appellations in France were fixed in 1940 for Condrieu and Côte Rôtie. And this part of Viognier was allowed as an heritage of a past thing. We personally think that adding Viognier in the Côte Rôtie is a natural way to enforce the Syrah. I try to explain. When you harvest your Syrah in a normal vintage, about 12.5 degrees in alcohol, you have to harvest at the same time the Viognier, and the ripeness of the Viognier is better. So the degree for the Viognier is maybe 14. So that's a natural way to enforce the degree of alcohol, like a natural chaptalization. And I think all the winemakers by the past kept this habit because it was the only way to have a chaptalization, or it was an elegant, you can say, way of chaptalization. Because this is the northern part of the Rhône Valley, that's the northern limit for the growth of Syrah. So today with the global warming, we don't really need that. But by the past, it was very useful.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I suppose the challenge with a field blend is if the appellation is determined maximum 20% Viognier, it must be quite difficult to manage that because it's a field blend, right? It could be a bit more,
Yes.
could be a bit less.
It's a decision mainly at the beginning when you plant the vine, and also every year when your vine dies, you can decide to replace the Viognier by the Viognier, the Syrah by the Syrah. And we can say today many producers in Côte Rôtie try to continue to have Viognier because it's a specific thing that's interesting in terms of winemaking. And maybe the proportion is going lower because we don't need to enforce the degree, but it's still an habit we keep.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Dee, for your time. I know there's still quite a few people on the call, but they've turned their cameras off. But from my perspective, I just want to say a big thank you, Jackie, from Hotel de Van, but also a big thank you to everybody on the call, especially the people that have been joining these calls pretty much religiously every day. Oxy, Debbie, both Roberts, Megan, Laszlo. Yeah, there's a number of people, Sam as well, that have really supported May Wine Month this year. So a big thank you to you all. It is the last session today. I hope you've all found these sessions useful. And as always, this call will be uploaded to the Malmaison and Hotel de Van YouTube channel. But from now, from Hotel de Van, Jackie, once again, huge thank you. Great presentation. And it really is a lovely wine and a lovely area of the world. So I'll end the call there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.